Hello, happy Tuesday. Thank you for joining me. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make lovely and quirky hand embroidery kits. And I am here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And it's a time where we can relax and craft together for about an hour. And I work on projects from beginning to end so you guys can be part of the whole process and work on it with me and chit chat and just hang out. So we are going to continue with the radio silence block today, right here. This is from the Splendid Sampler 2 Quilt Along. Here's the book for the Splendid Sampler 2. And we are gradually working our way through these blocks, and I'm kind of on a pieced block kit. So the book has all sorts of different blocks: applique, foundation paper piecing, English paper piecing, embroidery, and pieced blocks, and and combos of all of that. I've been kind of not doing the piece blocks as much, I think, so I think I'm kind of racking them up, and I thought, now is the time to just start going through those. So we've done one already, and we've cut all the pieces for this one. Yesterday we did that, and today we are going to sew a pile of half square triangles and flying geese units. So I'm super excited for that. Thanks again for joining me, and I am going to flip you around, and we'll get going. Ooh, Catherine, you'll have to tell me how those silk pins work out. I'm going to have to look at those as well. Time for some new pins again, some nice thin pins. I do like these. I think these are just clover ones. They have a glass head, but they keep, almost all of them are bent. But I would like something similar where it's a little thin. I think I could even get thinner ones, hence the silk ones. So I'm interested in those as well. All right, so this is all what we've cut up. Again, I kind of laid it out as best I could, how this looks, just for fun. But we didn't get too far here because we got to make a lot of half square triangles. So the first step is, in the instructions, is we're going to take these blocks. We have 4 white, that's that cream color, representing that cream color, and then representing this dark navy blue, I'm doing this swirl, and I have another 4 of those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these white ones, and I'm actually going to just fold them on a diagonal like this. What we want is just to have a diagonal line that we can see. You can use a pencil, you can use a water-soluble marking pen, but I just like folding them. So all I need to see is that diagonal. So I'm going to do that for all 4 of these right away. In the instructions, it has us doing them for a lot of these little ones right away too, for the flying geese units, which will be coming next. But I'm going to do it one at a time. So I'm just going to focus on these 4. Man, it doesn't even look like I ironed this section, but that's okay, because once we get ready to cut them, we'll press them before that. So the neat way about doing this style of half square triangle is that we'll end up with 2. So it's exactly like I've been sewing all these half square triangle units together. So here's my diagonal where I put that fold between this point and this point. And I'm just sewing a 1/4 inch away, and then I'm flipping it, and then sewing a 1/4 inch away from it again. And then when we're done with that, we're going to cut it in half, basically. So we're going to cut it along that diagonal, right along the line that we've folded here. And when that's done, we will have a half square triangle on both sides. So this is what a half square triangle looks like. It's a square that's been split in half, making 2 triangles. So here's the other one. So we'll have 2 when we're done. So that's where we're going to get our 8. I think these are going to be, I don't know where these are going to live. Oh, I think they're going to live in these corners here. Yeah, right there when we're done. All right, oh, yours never creased that nicely. So one thing I'm doing when I crease these, we are on the diagonal. and the diagonal can stretch really weird. So all I'm doing is I'm kind of lining it up, and I'm just pressing down. I'm not like dragging my finger across it or anything. I'm just pressing. And you know, it all kind of depends on the fabric. You know, when I'm doing it with this fabric, this is kind of like a flannel, and it really doesn't, I can't see it at all. So in this case, I should really get a water-soluble marker out and a ruler and trace it. But in this little white fabric, white solid, I can see it just really well. So, all right, let's put right sides together. The white fabric doesn't really have a right or wrong side, so I'm just plopping it on. Okay. Try and line it up as best I can. And there we go. So now I'm going to, if you have, I have my postcard back here or my business card back here. What I like doing is I like sticking it a 1/4 inch away, or like my scant 1/4 inch, which is just a hair less. And I actually align my diagonal on the edge of my postcard. And then I know that I'm going to be a 1/4 inch from that side of it. And I'm just keeping it aligned down here, the point, and allowing the machine to bring it forward. All right, so that's one side down. I'm gonna keep doing all of them on one side before taking it off the machine, because then we're moving less, we're getting more done. All right, and I'm just kind of scratching the top a little bit if it's not exactly matched up perfect. All right. Ooh, did I do right sides together? Yeah. Might be one of those type of days where all of a sudden I'm sewing a wrong side to a right side, and we'll see how it goes. All right. So there's Catherine got some silk pins. Did anyone else get any interesting new sewing toys lately? We were talking about the block lock a little bit yesterday. I need to look, and some other half square triangle helpers. I'm gonna have to look into some of those yet. I'd like to order a few and give them a try. Some different ways of doing it, because I just really love half square triangles. I think you can arrange them no matter how you, if you twist them in different directions, they just end up making all sorts of different lines and textures in a quilt, and I just think that's just neat. It's a good basic unit. All right, so now I'm gonna just kind of take them off of the end here and do it. You can also just like rotate this whole thing and do it, but I don't know, I kind of like cutting them off. I think there's a little, I mean, it's an extra step than just rotating this whole thing, but then I'm not attached to anything. It's probably habit more than anything. Oh gosh, that one wasn't sewn very straight. Luckily, we'll be trimming these down once we open them, so hopefully some of my seams get a little bit, some of these get a little bit better. Okay, that's it. So let's, I'm gonna just get another leader out here. You know, I could have just started, the next step started the half square triangles right away, but, or started the flying geese units right away. But I kind of want to do just everything step by step tonight. Okay, here we are. So I'm going to snip these all off. Okay. Next up, we are going to trim these in half. So this is the part where we magically have two half square triangles. We have one on this side and one on this side, but we have to cut along that diagonal that we folded at first to kind of separate the two. And you know what? I think I'm going to get the rotating cutting mat out so I don't have to move any of this stuff. I can just plop this right down. Okay, let's get my favorite ruler out. Here we are. I'm going to just trim these all in half. And then we're going to press them. Press them and then trim them again. It does get a little futzy, all these half square triangles. I'm going to put them all the same direction. It'll be easier for me to grab later. Hey Mark, thanks for joining. So if you guys are just popping in, we are sewing the radio silence block here for the Splendid Sampler 2 quilt along. Making half square triangles and flying geese units tonight. So these are the half square triangles. Oh, I snagged a couple of those too. Let's not accidentally cut those up. Okay, there we are. Time to press. So I'm just gonna look at the instructions here quick. Okay, it's saying press to, that arrow is pointing towards the navy side. So that means we're gonna press towards that side. All right, book's gonna go over here now. Okay, scooch some rulers out of the way. To the pressing. All right. So since we're gonna press towards my swirl side, that represents the navy side, I'm gonna have those facing up. And I'm gonna grab one. Just give it a little press to get started. And then I'm gonna flip it. There we go. And by having the swirl side on top, the seam allowance will be pointing towards that direction. So there we go, the seam allowance is on that swirl side. So there we go, there's one. We have to trim them down yet, so there's one more step to this process. I'm gonna just lay all my finished ones right there. We got 8 of these. That's the other kind of funny thing. They multiply when you're doing the half square triangle unit, so all of a sudden you have to press a ton of things when you only started with 4 pieces of fabric, it seems like. We'll cruise through it though. It's fun. I definitely like making these. They're always so cute. I don't think I've gotten any new gadgets lately. I'm kind of developing a group of core items that I just really love. Like I like this iron. It's this cordless iron and the pressing mat and my little rotating mat. Like I'm starting to actually use the things, seeing what I end up using the most. And some of the other things are trickling to the wayside a little bit. Some of the other things I've tried. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to look into all those half square triangle gadgets though. Anything that can make this process smoother and quicker, I'm okay with that. I think we got 2 more here. They're multiplying. We'll kind of lay them out where they'll go in the quilt, or in this quilt block afterwards too. I kind of like these pieced blocks. I kind of like having them completely laid out and watch them kind of develop a little bit, versus just having the stacks of fabric in piles. Maybe that's not the best idea. Things tend to move around a little when I do that, but it's fun to see. It's fun to see it develop. All right, we are done with those. So let's, done pressing. So let's trim them. Let's look at the instructions. Okay, trim the units to 1.5 inch squares. And you know what? I think I actually have a 1.5 inch. Oh no, I think it's a 2.5 inch ruler. Okay, so I don't have a 1.5 inch ruler. We'll just, we'll keep using this ruler here. Okay, so here's the plan. I'm going to set these to the side. I'm going to take 1. Oop, not 2. And I'm going to lay it down here. So my ruler has a diagonal on here. You can kind of, there you can see it, a diagonal. I'm going to align that diagonal with the diagonal line here. First we're going to see, oh, we got tons of room. So these need to be 1.5 inches. This is 1.5 here. That's great. There's a lot of edge that we can that we're going to be trimming off, but that means that if you accidentally sewed your lines a little too far in or something, there's still plenty of fabric, so you can trim it off and still have it right. So the first thing we're doing is aligning that diagonal and making sure that we get that entire 1.5 inches within our block. Like, I don't want to accidentally have it off like here or something. You know, if presumably I wouldn't do that because there's a lot of extra. But sometimes in the design of these blocks, they don't give you much extra, so you got to be a little bit more careful. But here they gave us some, so that's fun. So get those 2 sides. Then I'm going to just rotate it around. So for the second cut, I'm going to trim this side. Now I want to align it to the 1.5 inches, but I still want to align that diagonal. So 3 points we're going to align. The diagonal and that 1.5 inch mark. Gosh, that's still a lot extra. Let me just double check. Yep, trim the units to 1.5 inch squares. Alrighty. Look how itty bitty these are. So small, tiny little guys. All right, so there's our first one. We gotta make 7 more of these little itty bitty fellas. I'm gonna just place them down here for now, and then we'll put them in the block when we're done. And I don't really need the rotating cutting mat for this, really. I could just pick it up and rotate. But, you know, right now I'm just kind of using it as a nice tiny mat. So because I have all of these cut fabric blocks underneath it, fabric pieces underneath it, so this allows me to cut on top of them without cutting them. Need to align that diagonal. Ooh, Gina, you got some Annie's Soft and Stable. By Annie's Soft and Stable, I'm going to attempt to make a travel bag. That's awesome. Let me know how that goes. I've been thinking about something like that lately too. That would be nice to, like a gym bag. So I just started going to the Y. I think I was talking about that, the YMCA. I officially have a membership now. So my 5-day trial is up and I got the membership, and I've been swimming every day, which so far is only like a couple days because we just got it. So I swam 2 days last week and then worked out on the weights and stuff. And then we didn't go over the weekend. We went out of town. And then yesterday and today I went swimming. And holy cow, you guys, I am just so like zonked out. I had to take a nap when I got home here, and oh, as soon as I get this uploaded tonight, the video, our live video that we're doing right now with you guys, uploaded to YouTube, I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna try and get an extra hour of sleep than I normally do, because I think it's the swimming. It is just crushing me so far, but in a good way. Like, I feel awesome. Like, I feel like my back muscles are being worked, and, you know, doing all this crafting, all this sewing. This is a lot of bending over, a lot of head down, and, you know, so your neck and your back and shoulders and all that start hurting and aching, and that just leads to lower back issues and all that stuff. So I'm trying to counteract all that, since I'm either doing this or on a computer or staring down at something all day. So I think this exercising, we got it, my husband and I got in a system now where we figured out how we can do it every day. That's the tricky part, right? Like, oh God, how are you going to exercise every day? Or, you know, how are you going to fit it in, right? I think we got it. We got something figured now. We're running an experiment. So I think it's good. I'm feeling great, but holy cow, super tired. Yeah, I'm hoping the swimming will definitely, sometimes I have some trouble falling asleep, and I'm thinking this will take care of that situation. I think I just got to get, you know, it's been a long time. So I had a really good system going of working out in the morning, and I had done that for like, I don't know, maybe 6 months straight, which is probably the longest I've been consistent with exercising besides, you know, like high school sports. That doesn't count. And then I got busy over the holidays and all that, and then it just went away. So now I'm trying a new way of doing it, and I'm gonna give it a couple of weeks, and then I think it'll all equilibrate out, and I'll just feel like awesome and good every day, and awake and good. But man, I'm definitely feeling like I'm in that kind of transition period again. So I'm hoping I can keep it up, and the way that we have it scheduled, I think it'll be good. We go to our Penguin and Fish warehouse, and then the YMCA is kind of on the way home, so we go there before going home. Because if I went home first, oh, there's no way I would muster up the energy or muster up the willpower to actually go to the gym. So the fact that it's on the way home, I think that's what's doing it. That's what's keeping it. So I'm trying to keep doing that. Oh, you thought it peeled, but it's arthritis. Oh no. Oh, and the treadmill is making a difference, Arloa. Is that the case? I can't, the rest of your comment is hidden. But wow, yeah, I haven't swam laps or anything since high school. I was on swim team in high school, and you know, which is like 20 years ago plus now. And I hadn't, you know, exercised by swimming since then. And it feels just so awesome to be in the water again doing that. But holy cow, it's tiring. Definitely not swimming like I did in high school. But we'll get there. All right. We probably won't get there, but it feels good, if anything. All right. Yeah, that's a good point, Nolene. Yeah, it's a good transition from like work to home too. Oh, look. Got some hiding down here. Okay, so here is where we're kind of laying it all out again. Oh, move my scrap. So here's all our Here's all the scraps from those half square triangles. All right, let's lay them out again. This again is my kind of block. Obviously, it's not looking a lot like the block yet, but I'll show you it again. All right, let's start pointing these. So those are those 4 or those 8 larger things turned into 8 larger squares turned into these 8 half square triangle units. So that's kind of fun. They shrunk down. Oop, doesn't go that way. Ah, I always get confused at the direction. Always have to double check the direction that I point these guys in. Ooh, but look, we're starting to get the little star happening. I love to see these develop. That's why I kind of like laying it out like this, even though it's kind of a hassle. And I'm picking things up and moving them around, but it's fun. I like it. Oop, there we go, like that. All right, it's starting to develop. So here's the, oops, something fell. Oh, my thread fell from my machine. But there we go. That's what we're looking like. So we got these outside little bits done. Actually, this outer border is kind of complete, basically. Next up is the flying geese units, and that's this rectangle with these 2 triangle bits. We have one pinned just so we could get a look of it. This is what it'll look like when it's done, basically. And we need to make 4 of those. So we have here, 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 and here. These are all the white squares for those. So we should have 8 white squares and 4 rectangles. Okay, so this is 5. No, this can't be 5. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. Uh-oh. 1 is hiding somewhere. We better count these up again. All right, we need 8. We could be doubling them up though. Oh yeah, here, this one has 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, there we go. And then here, 7 and 8. They run away from you, these little bitty blocks. Okay, so for a flying geese unit, we're gonna take these, and you can draw a line on it, but again, I'm gonna fold them in half on the diagonal, and I'm just gonna push down just to get that line without stretching it. So there we go. So I'm gonna do that for all 8 of these, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna sew them onto these rectangle strips. Now this time, it's a little different than the half square triangles. We're gonna sew directly on that line. So let's fold all 8 of these. We need 2 per rectangle. And we're gonna sew them all onto one side first, and then we'll press them, and then we'll sew the other side on. And then I'll press that, and we will trim everything. All the, there'll be extra back fabric. We will trim that off when we're done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. I don't want to accidentally grab. There's extra white triangles for the border points. I don't want to accidentally grab those. Those stay as tiny little squares. Yeah, it seems like there's all sorts of ways to deal with gadgets to deal with triangles and stuff like this. I'm going to have to look at all of them. Yeah, if you guys have any more gadgets, for sure, post them in the Penguin and Fish Crafters group. I'd love to see what's helping you guys out. Oh, see my thread. My elbow bumped the thread, so that came off the machine. Let me, ugh. Always grabbing stuff from the floor. Okay, get that back up there. Roll it back up. Okay, we're set again. All right, so now I'm gonna grab one of the rectangles. It's the 4 rectangles that go around the center square. And I'm going to place it on like this. We want our diagonal line on one edge, like pointing towards the middle like that. And we're gonna sew from the middle out. We're not gonna sew from the point in, just because when you have a pointy shape like this and you're trying to put it in your machine, sometimes it pushes the point into your machine and it can cause kind of a mess. So to help that point not getting stuck in your machine, I like sewing from this side because then you have a little extra edge for the machine to pick up. One thing I'm also going to do is I'm not going to sew exactly on that line. I'm going to give my fabric a little leeway to fold when we're done. So I'm going to sew just right on the edge of it, the edge that's more outward to the point here. So just a hair. It'll almost like still be touching that fold, but just I'm going to consciously just try and go on the outer edge of it. All right, sewing along there. Oh, you know what? I said I was going to change this needle, but I didn't yet. Oh well, we'll work with it yet. All right, so next up, like I said, we're going to do all the one side first, and we'll press those. And then we'll do the second side. I like getting my stiletto in here. It's like a little finger, sharp finger that I can hold the edge with. Hold the points with. I used to not even mark these lines when I was when I started doing this. I just would aim for the diagonal, and you know what? That did an okay job too. All right, here's the last one on this side. All right, and I think I'm going to take these off the machine. So let's get another leader. Another leader started. You guys, it is going to be Finish It Friday for April soon. The first Friday of every month. I stop whatever we're working on and I work on something else instead, of a project that's just kind of lingering, something hanging out there. And I've been sewing all of these half square triangles just as, for that little piece of fabric that you sometimes like when you're sewing. I've changed that little fabric to actual squares that will turn into something. So those are kind of getting racked up. I think it might be time to do all the fun half square triangle stuff for that. So maybe I will, maybe I'll order a couple of those half square triangle, like the Block Lock and some of those other ones that you guys mentioned. And we can test some of them out on these half square triangles. I think that might be kind of fun. All right, here are the 4. We're gonna press the one side over and then we'll sew those other edges on. So let's move my little book again. Gotta keep moving it all. I'm in a little workspace and man, I don't have the system for not having stuff in my way all the time. All right, so some people will snip this edge off because ultimately we don't need this flap. We don't need these here because we're going to be pressing this outward like this to get our the first half of our flying geese unit. So this is actually seam allowance. We don't need that. Some people trim it a 1/4 inch from the seam allowance now, but I like pressing it first because I have this rectangle shape still. So when I press it, I can use those edges to align this folded edge, this new edge. I can use this as a guide, and then I'll be closer to getting this rectangle the size that it originally was. So I'm going to give that a press to get it started. And then here, now I'm going to align the two edges. Use that as my guide. See, there we go. I use those two edges. So now I can trim these off, but I'm going to press them all first. And using those edges as a guide. Ooh, that one got a little goofy. Let's try that again. All right. That's 2. So all these half square triangles and the flying geese, they do take time, but I like all the steps of it for these. I like sewing them, and I like trimming them, and they always look so cute when you're done. They're just fun. I like them. I like the designs that they're capable of making. You rotate these in all sorts of ways, and you come up with just really fun designs. All right, back to our block that's starting to develop here. So, all right, next I'm going to trim these. So I'm going to get my big, nice scissors here, just because I like it. Love that sound. Okay, let's scooch this out of the way a little bit. I'm going to open this up now again, and I'm going to trim. I'm just going to cut a 1/4 inch from my seam there. So just, zoop. It doesn't have to be perfect. There we go, I'm just cutting. There we go. And now when I fold this back, it should still be in line. So there we go, that's it. This guy is ready to sew on the other triangle. You can lay this down and use a rotary cutter, like just put your ruler on the edge here, but it doesn't have to be perfect. I am just estimating that 1/4 inch away, and that's just fine. Just fine, just like that. Okay. Just be sure when you fold it back that you don't accidentally cut this side. We need that rectangle to stay intact. And don't accidentally cut all 3 layers. Make sure to fold that top layer back. Trim. All right. And there we go. There are the 4 units. Let's get rid of the scraps. We could actually sew these into itty bitty bitty half square triangles, but we'll put them in the scrap pile. Okay, so next up, we are going to do our second square on here. So we still have that diagonal. Now we're going to point it this way, so we have like this other triangle going here. So there, so the diagonal will be here, so when we sew on it, it will open, and we'll have our flying geese unit. We don't want it this way, you know, the angle going this way, because then when we open it, we'll have this, which is a rather kind of cool looking unit, actually, but not for this block. We're going to point it towards the inside again, and I'm going to sew, again, I'm going to sew from the middle down, and I'm going to err on the side of having the needle towards the outside bit, the bit that we're going to cut off. There, so it'll be like that. I don't want to sew this side because, again, we have that point that could get stuck in our machine when we sew. So I want that nice edge. All right, so that's it. We're going to do 4 of those. Here are the other 3. And our flying geese units will get done. Oh, they are so little, Lisa. All of these pieces are just tiny. I'll show you guys once we're done here tonight. When I flip the camera around, I'll show you what they look like next to me, so you can see it. Ooh, see, my machine snookered it a little bit. So I'm gonna just pull my leader a little bit, and that will help things along. There we go. For little triangle pieces this small, my machine sometimes likes eating the corners, even when I'm doing it starting on an edge like this. We're gonna keep going though. Yeah, and you know what? I think another reason I should have changed my needle. But luckily, once we fold the corner back, it'll hide all those. Nope, I am not. Let me look. Nope, I'm not pressing the seam open. I am still pressing them. I'm pressing them outward here, like this. Oop, wrong way. I'm following the seam or the pressing instructions from the book. But this is typically, I think, how I usually do half square triangle units though. So I'm not pressing them open. All right, here's the last one. That went quick. So we'll press these and trim off the extra, and these units will be done too. And at this point, our quilt block is really, we're gonna really get a sense of what it's gonna look like now. Okay. Trim them all up. Zoop. Okay, let's press these open. So again, I'm not gonna, we have all that excess here again, all of this excess. I am not gonna cut that off until I've pressed this open, pressed the seam, or pressed this triangle over, because I can use this edge as a guide. There, so it'll be just like that. So let's press it first, and then fold it back and use those other edges as my guide, and just press flat down. All right, there we are. And then we will trim that excess off, and we will have our flying geese unit. Yeah, see, here's where like my machine was catching it, so I got this weird line. But because I'm gonna fold this and use these edges as my guide, you won't even know, because you'll just see my straight fold. So that's kind of a nice feature of these flying geese units. See there, it totally went away. Can't see the squiggle at all anymore. Okay, one more. Can't wait to see it so far. All this work for just this little 6.5-inch block when it's finished. Isn't that funny? All right, here we go. I need my scissors. So we cut it off of that first side already, and now let's flip back that one piece, and then again cutting it like a 1/4 inch away. And there, that guy is done. Jenny, I think for Finish It Friday, I might take all of these half square triangle units that I've been making out of those old shirts as we sew. I think I might trim them up and cut them in half. Basically, do what we did today with these half square units. Just cut them in half and then trim them down. Oh, it looks like I cut that one already. And maybe even start sewing them together. Just start sewing them together and see, just, you know, make it bigger and bigger, basically, as I go along. But I'd like to get some of these. I'll have to make like a quick Amazon order or something so I can get it delivered fast. I'd like to try some of these half square triangle helpers that we've been talking about, like the block lock and some of the other things, gadgets. So I'm gonna have to look some of those up and get them ordered because it's totally gonna be April soon, if you can believe it. Zipping by, which is awesome. Ooh, you guys, tomorrow it's supposed to be like 67. That's like summer just about. So I'm looking forward to that for sure. All right, look, our star is developing here. All right, do you see it? I can kind of see it happening. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit. Maybe we can see it a little bit better. Get all these moved in the right spot. So we're actually done with the unit making, I suppose you could call it. All we have to do now is sew all these rows together. So that's what we'll focus on tomorrow, just getting these rows together. So tomorrow we might actually be able to finish this. Oh, there, now it's starting to, I can start to see it now. There we go. That's what our block's gonna look like. So I think this star in the middle is really gonna pop, which is kind of cool. So let's take a look at it in the book again. I'm doing very pale colors, obviously, for mine, compared to the book for sure. But, you know, it's starting to pop out there. We can see it now. It's just so neat, those half square triangle units and those flying geese, just how that can develop a whole picture here. So yeah, this will just shrink right up too, which will be kind of fun to see. So right now, let's see, it's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's about 8.5 inches big. We'll lose 2 inches all the way around once we sew it all together, which is just kind of cool. So, all right, I'm gonna leave this probably right here so it doesn't move on me again. And tomorrow we'll come back and we'll sew all these rows together. Ooh, you guys, we might do that fun way of sewing. Oh, what did we call that? Where the webbing way of sewing, we're gonna do that again. So we're gonna sew this together tomorrow in that special way where it all stays together and we never lose what row we're on, and it's the webbing way of sewing. It's just gonna be really, really fun. So stay tuned to that. It's gonna work especially well for a block like this where there's tons of pieces. I think there's like 25 or so pieces it looks like here. So, all right, that is the plan for tomorrow. It's gonna be great. Oh gosh, yeah, good thing I don't have a cat, exactly. Yes, I can leave this here because I don't have a cat. So here's how big one of those half square triangle units is. So this is the size. This is how big we're making things. It's crazy. And then here's the flying geese unit. So teeny tiny, teeny tiny. Right now I already messed this up. Ah! There. Got it back. All right, you guys. Thanks again for joining me here tonight. I'll get this up on YouTube at Penguin and Fish Movies. And yeah, I think we can finish this up tomorrow. We'll do the webbing style of sewing these rows together, which is just a really fun way. I think it speeds up the process of sewing rows like this together, and it keeps things in order a little bit better. And it's just kind of nifty. So we'll do that tomorrow. Have a great evening, and I'll see you tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Have a good evening. Good night.